soldier of fortune. Gotta walk through fire for what's important. And the warrior's blood through your veins is coursing.
He goes outside. He's got Ledford with him. Chris Blassie is going to win it at the line here in Daytona.
Every move, take your shot, don't be a fool. All you got and all you ever need is one bullet in the chamber. Breathe to take your aim. Ain't nobody gonna save you. So what you gonna do? One bullet in the chamber. Breathe to take your aim, boy. Ain't nobody gonna save you. So what you gonna do? Now the whole world's watching every move. Take your shot, don't act the fool. All you got and all you ever need.
He's going to drive up into him. Can Kuntz hang on to it off the corner? Kuntz gets it.
It's one bullet in the chamber. Breathe to take your aim, boy. Ain't nobody gonna save you. So what you gonna
Drivers
do?
side by side, coming out of turn 4. Rapp at the 52 on the outside, the 99 to the inside. Rapp's gonna win it at Auto Club.
So what you gonna do?
Test, 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 test. Right. If it's Tuesday, take two. This is the Apex Energy Truck Series presented by Hank Thomas Performance from Slingshot Racing League. I'm Ellis Thomas. Alongside Chris Smith in the booth tonight, we're bringing you live racing action and the NASCAR trucks from Bristol Motor Speedway tonight for the Hank Thomas Performance 200. Thanks for sticking around with us, ladies and gentlemen. We had a couple technical difficulties, but we're good. We're at Bristol. It's America's night race. We've got some beating and banging. We're getting geared up for tonight. Over 30 cars on this short Thunderdome here in Bristol. Unique layout, 24 to 28 degrees of banking. Steep turns mean these drivers are going to be going at it every single corner, and there's not much space on the straightaway, so they're going to be in corners much of the night. 200 laps. We're going to talk about what you can expect over the course of those 200 laps here shortly, but one unforgettable moment in Bristol's history happened in '95 when Terry Labonte emerged victorious despite a fierce challenge from Dale Earnhardt. It's where the term the Chrome Horn came to life as Earnhardt aggressively attempted to dislodge Terry Labonte from the lead, leading to a dramatic and unforgettable conclusion that fans still talk about today. Chris, we often refer to Bristol as the last great coliseum. These truck drivers are going to have to put on their gladiator helmets tonight for 200 laps if they want to make it to victory lane at the end. We're going to talk about some stories over the course of the race here shortly, but walk us through the race analysis, what we have to look forward tonight in these few moments before we get gridded up.
Well, you got 200 laps of fast-paced, close action on a tight bull ring track right here. They call this the last great coliseum, and they don't call it that for nothing. This is a tough venue. We're expecting 30 trucks here on track tonight, about 135 laps on a tank of fuel, but that's not going to be an issue at all because we expect that we're going to see a number of cautions tonight. And you're going to want tires before you want to fill the tank up with fuel. This track eats through the tires, so that moderate tire degradation that you see right there, I'd expect it to be even a little bit higher than that even.
Yeah, I think we're going to have some pretty severe tire degradation. Chris, quickly to walk through some of the stories. This is a crown jewel race, meaning the winner is going to take home a cool $25. So a little bit of added incentive for the drivers tonight, which might amp up some of the energy on track. Last week, Mosport, it was a road course. Aaron Smith dominated to take over the championship lead with just 4 races remaining before the playoffs begin. Every point is at a premium, and these drivers are going to be fighting for each one of them tonight. You can see the top of the points battle, the top 4 drivers separated by just 13 points, and even less separate really 11th all the way through 16th, just an 8-point differential between those bubble drivers, as we call them. Top 12 make the playoffs, 13th backward are out. So several drivers looking in to the playoffs right now. Couple of other stories, Chris. Traffic. It's going to be big tonight. The leaders are going to catch lap cars pretty early, and that is going to be half the race. If you're up front navigating through lap traffic, through slower cars, that might be a hot spot to look out for some of the incidents on track tonight. We mentioned in the intro, drivers are going to be in corners almost every single moment of tonight. Rhythm is everything. What does that mean when we talk about rhythm here at a track like Bristol?
Well, at Bristol, it's easy to find yourself lulled into, like, you know, just the monotony of, like, constantly going through the corners here, because it feels like you're just constantly turning, and that's, if you're a driver, that's one thing that you're going to have to deal with, and hopefully you can try to avoid that tonight.
Yeah, and drivers are also going to be looking to avoid wearing out their tires early. They've got 4 sets over the course of the evening over these 200 laps, but even if you were trying to split the race into quarters, that is a tall task. We've talked about drivers telling us in pre-race, really by lap 15, if not 20, these tires have started to fall off a little bit. And they fall off actually pretty quickly. And once that happens, these trucks tend to get loose, and these drivers might lose their footing without a moment's notice. So we're going to be on the edge of our seats all night long. Let's go ahead and take a look at the grid. The driver out most on the edge of a seat is probably the pole sitter. Jacob Bradley wins the Evan Pienta Designs pole award for tonight. He's going to be starting number 1 in that 50 truck. Starting second is going to be 81 of Scottie Sobczak. Third, 51 of Randy Bechdel. On the outside of row 2, it's going to be Justin Wilson in that 58 machine. Aaron Smith in the 70 going to be starting 5th. He's last week's winner. Ryan Jones, the 91 car, Pensacola driver, is going to be starting in the 6th position. Johnny Rapp in that Mission Barbecue car starting 7th. Evan Pienta, 8th. Scott Tompkins, 9th. Wesley Pistol is going to be starting 10th. Tennessee hometown driver tonight, looking to get a win in his home state. Patrick Colby, 11th. Sean Johnson going to be starting 12th. Ryan Hinkle, good starting spot, 13th position. Josh Ward, 2-time winner this season, is starting in the 14th position. Daniel Rose going to be starting 15th. To his outside, Dan Berg in the number 2 truck. 17th will be Jay Heishman. The 18th starter will be Cordell Lofgren. Chris Pierce starting on the inside of row number 10. To his outside, the 7 of Tony Caputo. Thomas Kuhn 21st. Raymond Hanneman, his teammate, right to his outside, 22nd. Matt Kuhnsen, Jay Leach on row 12. James Ledford, James Danforth on row 13. Campbell and O'Toole on row 14. Waldrop and Thomas on the final row. 30 drivers getting ready to go green tonight. Pace car is going to pull off. Bradley and Sobczak lead him to the green flag here at Bristol for the Hank Thomas Performance 200. Bradley's got an edge down to the inside in turn 2. Down to the back straightaway. Sobczak second. Bechdel third. Justin Wilson fourth. Aaron Smith fifth. Top 5 single file. The battle is back in 6th position, though, where Johnny Rapp is on the inside of Ryan Jones. Scott Tompkins on the inside of Evan Pienta. Couple too wide racing there. Evan Pienta's going to try to cross over Johnny Rapp to the inside. Rapp to the outside. He's got the momentum. Suddenly, we are single file, first 10 cars or so. First battle is between Patrick Colby and it looks like Sean Johnson. They settle it out pretty quickly. And Chris, I'm a little surprised we've gotten a single file as we have so early. Knock on wood, we are green flag all the way, first 4 laps here. Battle going on between Scott Tompkins and Sean Johnson as they make their way down the backstretch. This is a battle for the 10th position right now. Tompkins on the inside, Johnson on the outside.
Yeah, you see Sean Johnson trying to roll the outside right here. He's making some nice progress, really rolling up through the field nicely here. The only problem with that is we mentioned the tires. If you're up there in the... Oh, he gets loose. Oh, he's going to come around.
Come down. He's
right in front of Hinkle.
Josh Ward's collected in this incident.
Caution.
Several cars on the front straightaway. Cordell Lofgren also piles in. Chris, that brings up a good point that we didn't get a chance to mention. This is a narrow track. The track can be blocked pretty easily, and with such a short one, these drivers don't have to go around too long before they find themselves involved in a pileup just like that.
Yeah, we're going to go back and watch this. You know, it looked like Sean Johnson was driving a little bit harder than what maybe some of the guys around him wanted to drive. And, yeah, it came around. Unfortunately, Ryan Hinkle, nowhere to go. Josh Ward, nowhere to go. Those guys get caught up in it right there. We're going to go back and actually see if we can watch this from a little bit different perspective. Sean Johnson was trying to roll that top, but we've heard some drivers in the lead up to this race talk about how loose this track can be, how loose these trucks can be. And unfortunately for Sean Johnson, he found out just how loose it can get right there.
And this happened right in front of the leader, Jacob Bradley, as well. Leaders coming around there, you're going to see them slip. I believe they slipped into the picture there. Maybe I was mistaken in
I think
those cars.
I think it's just. I think that Jacob Bradley was coming up on the field right here after Sean Johnson got back rolling again. But yeah, that was a lot of excitement here early on.
As soon as we put the camera on him, as soon as we start talking about how we were still green flag action, that's how it goes. As we watch that replay of Sean Johnson, he almost collected. He brought it up to the wall, but Chris, that's one of the things just that I've noticed running Bristol, especially a couple of laps in. It can get really loose if you're not turning it kind of the right angle into the corner. If you're on that outside line, as you mentioned, it can become really dangerous. And Sean Johnson found that out firsthand. Right now, top 5: Bradley, Sobczak, Bechdel, Wilson, and Aaron Smith. I don't think we're going to see any of the cars who are up towards the front pit at this juncture. It's just too early. 9 laps in out of 200 for the Apex Energy Truck Series presented by Hank Thomas Performance. Are you taking a gamble? Is anyone taking a gamble this early? Is it even worth considering coming in and getting those fresh tires?
No, I don't think so. I think that everybody that we've seen come to pit road was involved in the crash. Cordell Lofgren, Sean Johnson, Ryan Hinkle, they've all made pit stops here. I think Jay Haishman has also made a stop. I don't think that he got any damage, but I think that he had to slow up a lot. It was at the tail end of the field, so yeah. I think he just came in to get some fuel there. So I don't think there's anything that he really loses going back there and just filling it up with fuel. But I think that these drivers right here, yes, it's a little bit early right now. What you don't want to have happen is if we go a little bit longer here, is that you don't want to find yourself staying out and then all of a sudden you get a long green flag run, because you and I have been in plenty of races here where that can result in going 2 laps down really, really fast.
Do not remind me. I believe I had someone tell me to come in and take tires, and that did not go well.
Yeah, I've been known to give bad advice here. That's for sure.
Oh, if you don't want bad advice, you don't ask for advice in the first place. So right now, marking lap number 10, Jacob Bradley leading the parade down the front straightaway. I believe we're going to be getting ready to go green this time by. Plenty of action so far. One of the things I noticed, I was a little bit surprised, maybe I shouldn't be surprised, our drivers are pretty cautious, but they got single file pretty quickly. Sean Johnson was one of the few trucks that had chosen to go up to the outside line. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. You mentioned John Hilbrun's in the chat said, how fast are these tires going to heat up? The longer you stay on the outside, Don, and everyone else watching, the more they're going to heat up. So you might be able to make some passes with that momentum off the top line, but you're going to pay for it in the long run. Right now, pace car looking like it's going to get ready to peel off. It is. Jacob Bradley leads the parade out of turn 4. That number 50 truck takes the green flag. We are back underway here at Bristol. Bradley leads them into 1. Scottie Sobczak on the outside. See if he's going to be able to close the door here on Randy Bechdel, who's working that inside underneath Justin Wilson. Right now, Bechdel on the inside, Wilson on the outside. This is a battle for 3rd place for teammates from Payday Racing. Justin Wilson probably not going to want to stay on that outside too long. I see his teammate Rye Jones slide up there as well. Everyone kind of settles down for a moment. They think better of it, and they slide into single file racing, going all the way back to the first double wide racing we see. I'm looking at Dan Rowe and Dan Berg. This is a battle for 14th. Looks like we got a yellow flag out on the track. Going to see what happened.
It's like maybe
Lee Campbell, potentially.
Lee Campbell? Yeah.
I believe Lee Campbell.
You're right. He's got some damage right here to that Goodyear Chevrolet. We're going to go back and see if we can see what happened to driver of the 14 car here.
And by the way, while we watch that, Connor Lyons, appreciate you joining. It's good to see you back in the chat.
It looks like Lee is on the inside right here. Cordell Lofgren going by on the outside. And, just they kind of come together. And on a narrow, small, short track like this one, that's bound to happen sometimes. We'll go back right here and watch it one more time, but it's almost like they kind of just met in the middle right there. Cordell Lofgren was off the wall, maybe a little bit more than what Lee Campbell anticipated. So there's a little bit of space out towards the wall, and I think Lee maybe anticipated Cordell Lofgren going out there towards that wall a little bit more, and they just kind of met together, and unfortunately for Lee, he's got some damage to the nose of that Silverado now.
Yeah, Lee Campbell going to be probably wishing he had that moment back, as will Cordell Lofgren. But that happens. That is just part of racing in general, even that happens to the professionals sometime as well. And you mentioned tight confines of Bristol. Rubbin is racing, and sometimes that's just the way it goes, Chris. Right now, Bradley is your leader as we watch Lee Campbell and Ryan Hinkle come down pit road. Hinkle probably looking to get more damage repaired, as well as Sean Johnson after that lap number 5 crash. 17 laps in the book, Chris. I think we got to take a moment. I don't believe we're 2 to go yet, but let's go ahead and take a moment to hear from Randy Bechdel, our Sim Racing Concepts spotlight driver of the race. Right now, Randy's sitting in 4th place, having a good run. We're seeing him in really awesome form this season. So we'll go ahead and learn a little bit about Randy Bechdel before we go back green.
Peanut butter jelly. You're gonna think it's Kyle Busch, but it's actually Ryan Blaney. In the 90s, we went to Port Royal Speedway, and we saw Dave Blaney race a lot. So it was Dave, and naturally it just went to Ryan Blaney. Probably ketchup and some diced onions. Pocono? I'd say. I don't know. Well, I enjoy racing against Justin Wilson, Jacob Bradley, but seems like I raced a lot against Sobczak last season, so I guess I go with Sobczak for that one.
So you got to hear a little bit about Randy Bechdel right now, sitting in 4th position. No damage for Randy, but one of the things we've heard in the chat is a little bit of damage. You can still keep on going. That is definitely true at Bristol. As long as there's no suspension damage, you don't really have to worry about aero here too much. So driver's going to be looking here to take the 1 to go on green, and I think a lot of the guys you've seen, including Lee Campbell, might be okay to keep up the fight. But, Chris, Randy Bechdel's had a really good season. We've seen him kind of struggle to find his footing at points, but he's looking like he might be in championship form. Took the win at Iowa, our last short track race this season, and he is looking on point for this season. Right now, maybe looking to capitalize on that short track prowess and get himself a win at Bristol. He's got 3 positions to make up, and the last driver he's going to have to get by is going to be Jacob Bradley, leading the parade down here in turns 3 and 4. We are getting set to take the green flag one more time here at Bristol, coming up to lap 20 of 200. Green flag is out. We are underway once again. Scottie Sobczak second. He's got Justin Wilson challenging him to the inside. Down in turn 2 and 3. Wilson's got the advantage on the inside. Bradley begins to pull away just a little bit. Sobczak on the outside, Wilson on the inside. Randy Bechdel and Aaron Smith fighting a little bit further back. This is a battle for 4th position. Bechdel is under threat from Aaron Smith. Oh, looks like we got Dan Berg up in the wall. He's going to keep it going, staying out of traffic. Everyone is clean and green to this point. We'll rejoin this battle. Randy Bechdel gets a great advantage on the outside here. This battle going on for 4th position, or 3rd position, rather. Chris, I think we saw Randy Bechdel take advantage of that speed and power that outside line has, at least to get by Scottie Sobczak and work his way into 3rd. Look at that run he gets off of turn 4 there.
Yeah, riding on board right here with Justin Wilson and looking back at Randy Bechdel, and you can see just the momentum that outside lane can generate. It's super, super fast. The only question is, how much do you punish your tires when you're running up there? If I'm, knowing Randy the way that, we know him, Randy's actually really, really, aware of his tires, and I have no doubt that Randy is probably just trying to do his very best to try to maintain the gap right there more than anything else.
Yeah, maintain the gap and see if he can gain a little bit of edge. That was kind of the strategy I took. Granted, I'm not an expert driver by any means, but run the inside if you're not having someone in front of you you're trying to pass. And then if you get in a position where you can pass, maybe you take a lap or 2 to the outside and see if you can get anything going. Randy Bechdel looked like he wanted to try it there for a lap after he made that pass for 3rd. And then he looks like he's going to settle in here in that gold and white number 51 into 3rd position. Meanwhile, Rye Jones is gotten by Scottie Sobczak, but Sobczak says not so fast, my friend. We see Rye Jones move up to the top of the track pretty early. Sobczak taking a different approach down there on the bottom again. We'll see what that does to Jones's tires over the course of the race. Looking further back, everyone right now single file, Chris. The closest battle. Oh, Tony Caputo sideways. He gets it corralled down the back straightaway. We're still green after a close, tense moment with the driver of the number 7. Fortunately, no one in the near vicinity to collect him. But a battle going on right now between Dan Berg and Chris Pierce. This is going on for 18th position, Chris. You're going to check out a quick replay of what happened to Tony Caputo here.
Oh, yeah. Just another incident like where somebody got just a little bit free right there. Does a nice job of not overcorrecting, and he's going to live to fight on right here.
Going to live to fight on. I've seen plenty of close moments if you're in the chat, we've already got some fans chiming in who they want to see in victory lane tonight. We got Brendan Garvey going for Kuntz and DeCesare. Appreciate Connor Lines joining back in tonight. Don, as always, welcome back. John Rapp, hope you are doing well. Appreciate Julie joining in as well. Great crew in the chat tonight. Let us know who you're rooting for. Let us know if you have any questions. There's Stu Vinman as well in the chat rooting on Paul Thomas. If you haven't hit that like button and the subscribe button, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and do that for us. It is a huge favor, and we cannot thank you enough. Look at Scott Tompkins, Chris. I don't know what just happened to the driver of that number 25, but he's having some issues. He's dropped back several positions over the past lap or so. I'm not sure if he got out of shape, but trying to get it corralled. But he's got the 22 that he's going to have to worry about in just a moment.
He's showing 2 laps down on my end, so I don't know if there was some type of penalty. Don't know what happened to Scott.
Yeah, I didn't see him get involved in a wreck necessarily, so he might have. We've known Scott to have some hardware issues in the past, and hardware issues include children shutting down his computer. Yellow flag is out. Chris, that might have been Lee Campbell or Patrick Colby.
I see Tony Caputo slow on the track right here.
Oh, it was Tony Caputo, it looks like.
Go back and we'll see what might have happened to Tony. He's had a little bit of a rough night so far tonight.
Yeah, all alone. All by his lonesome, just gets out of shape. Similar to kind of what we saw happen to Sean Johnson, just that outside line, not vibing with that number 7 truck, Chris, and that brings us under our third caution of the night on lap 36. And we mentioned it. These drivers are driving around a short track like this. It's tough. I think they'll get their sea legs under them in just a couple of laps. So Steve Bradley also joined the chat saying Jacob's got some good pace. He really does in that number 50 truck tonight. Chris, I think, are we to the point where we're considering a pit stop for our leaders?
Possibly.
It is a single pit lane, so I think we're going to see drivers hit it this time.
Yep.
If they're going to come, and we're going to see that the 50. No, not yet.
Not yet.
At least the first couple of cars. I'm going to cycle through here and see if we can see if anyone
Patrick
does.
Colby.
Yep, the number 9 truck's going to be the first. He's going to be coming in from the 12th position or so
the
in
goat.
that number 9 truck. Yeah, he's got that Nick Saban face on the back of the car. Nick Saban
you'll see it.
Retiring.
See it as we come by right here. The GOAT.
Nick Saban recently retiring. Patrick Colby wanting to pay a little tribute to him. So right now, it looks like Colby on that 9 is the lone taker up front. Sean Johnson, Hinkle, I believe that's Jay Haishman, who were involved in that lap 5 wreck, also coming by. So this is going to be interesting, Chris, particularly if we get a long green flag run after this, which you never know, definitely could happen. I think the field is maybe anticipating that not happening.
You're so optimistic.
Patrick Colby, yeah, right. I'm not the optimistic one. I'm just saying Patrick Colby is optimistic here with this pit strategy here on lap number 38. So we'll see how that kind of matriculates and materializes over the course of the rest of this race. But right now, just a couple of shout-outs. Thomas Coonan in the number 86, Chris, he's up 11 positions from starting 21st all the way up to the 10th position. That's no easy feat here at Bristol. If you're the driver of that number 86, one of the things we've noticed about Coonan, he's got speed early, but one of the things we've noticed is he whether it's his own fault or the fault of another driver or just the race pace speeding up, he struggles to be around towards the end in terms of how fast he is in the beginning. That's no knock at him. That's just the reality. We obviously saw him have an amazing race at Talladega and be part of that 3-wide photo finish. But right now, he's looking pretty good. He's got some speed. I'll be curious to see where he's getting that speed from, if it's up on the top line. We'll see if that pays if there's any consequences to pay for that later. I know we've been talking a lot about tires over the course of the evening. A couple of Dan Berg fans in the chat right now. Joe Stankovich, appreciate you joining in.
Yeah.
James Danforth, go ahead.
I was going to say, Thomas Coonan up 11 spots really, really fast, and James Danforth up 13 spots since the start of the race. So he's had a great start as well.
Yeah, James Danforth really loves that hard charger award. He was last season's Apex Energy hard charger, which means on average he gains the most positions per race. I think he clocked out at like 13 average positions gained per race last season. I think he's sitting somewhere around 10. He took a real big hit at Mosport last week, but he's looking to recover from that tonight, sitting really well in that number 88 Napa Auto Parts truck. Sitting even better right now, Jacob Bradley and Justin Wilson. Pace car pulls off. They're leading the parade off of 4. Bradley mashes that throttle. We are back underway. Randy Bechdel gets a hell of a start on the inside. He's going to go for second here underneath Justin Wilson. But remember, Wilson does have the advantage of that outside line. We can see that kind of pay dividends here with a little bit of momentum. I see 3 wide at one point on the track right now. Hopefully drivers are going to settle this very quickly. Scottie Sobczak is the lone car on the inside for about 4th through 7th. Evan Pienta looking to tackle Sobczak and gain that position on the outside. That's a battle going on for the 6th position. Evan not going to let him go. Sobczak not going to give in either. We'll see if Evan pushes the issue off this corner. I don't think so. They're going to settle it out. Single file up front, really. Everybody is single file. I'm pleased with what I'm seeing in terms of people's willingness to just settle in. I know we've had a few cautions early. You do see your kind of variety of maybe drivers taking it high at some point to see if they can make something work. But right now we are single file. Aaron Smith, Chris, moved up a lane. He's going to see if he can gain a position on Rye Jones. So we got South Carolina versus Florida here. That yellow HTP machine looking to see if he can get a victory in the HTP Hank Thomas Performance 200. I'm a little surprised to see Aaron Smith up there this early, but it could be what we saw with Bechdel. Take a lap or two and see if you can get that spot made up. If not, jump back to the inside. Aaron Smith, really one of the best at managing tires all week. Chris, drivers in the Discord server have been talking about how Aaron Smith was going to really shine and his tire saving skills were going to be showcased this week. But Jacob Bradley isn't a slouch either on tire strategy. I know Steve Bradley in the chat definitely knows that, definitely has witnessed kind of the growth Jacob Bradley has. We've talked about it multiple times. Bradley's gotten so much better at tire saving over the course of the past couple of seasons. I don't know how much better he is than Aaron Smith at this point. So right now, Bradley is your leader, Wilson second, Bechdel third. Aaron Smith is up to 4th after starting in the 5th position. Looking further through the field, Cordell Lofgren on the back straightaway. That is going to bring out a caution. Lap number coming up to 50 here. We'll see what happened to the driver, the number 83. I believe happened in front of James Danforth, who we were talking about earlier.
And Cordell,
it looks like Cordell just got loose off the corner.
Cordell Lofgren had been coming up through the field because he was on a little bit fresher tires. Yeah, he gets a little bit loose right there on the exit of 4. We're seeing a lot of loose trucks out here tonight, and that I'm not a bit surprised at all to see this. A lot of people were possibly concerned about this going into tonight. Actually right on board with Cordell Lofgren here. And you'll be able to watch his hands right there, and he just got away from him just a little bit. You kind of got to open the wheel up here on corner exits because your tendency is that you want to keep on turning, but if you do that, then you're going to find yourself in trouble.
Yeah, Cordell Lofgren, that driver out of Atlanta, Georgia, brings out caution number 4 of the night here on lap 50. A couple of takers on pit road. I thought Rye Jones is going to be the only taker. Dan Rowe coming in not too far behind him. Chris, I'm a little surprised that the majority of the leaders here are staying out on lap number 51, nearly a quarter of the way through the race. Rye Jones going to make the long march down that single lane pit road while everyone else continues to cycle around.
Yeah, I think that, the mentality of a lot of these guys up here is that they say, yeah, we just haven't run enough green flag laps to really hurt the tires too much. And, if you're Rye Jones, you're thinking possibly that this thing is bound to go green at some point, and maybe this will be at the point where it does go green. If it does go green from this point forth, Rye's going to be sitting in a really good spot.
Yeah, watching the 91 come to the attention of his pit crew. But Rye, this is something we've seen him do. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But he's willing to make that gamble. Hey, let's go ahead and take a moment under caution to hear from our presenting partner for the series and tonight's title partner of the race, Hank Thomas Performance. We're going to come back on the other end of this break for more green flag action from Bristol Motor Speedway.
Hank Thomas Performance is a Sunoco race fuel master distributor located in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Our territory covers North Carolina, Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, as well as the Panhandle of Florida, providing quality Sunoco race fuel to many track and dealers throughout the region. In addition to Sunoco race fuels, Hank Thomas Performance distributes high-quality methanol and at-track supplies, as well as miscellaneous gas containers and everyday products that the at-track racer wants and needs as they compete at their local asphalt and dirt ovals, plus drag strips. You can reach us at 800-848-HANK, or if you're in our area, come out and visit us at the shop.
All right, back here at Bristol, getting ready to pull the belts tight one more time for some green flag action. Coming up on lap 55, about half a lap away from that green flag. Jacob Bradley continues to lead here in the Slingshot Racing League Apex Energy Truck Series race at Bristol. Justin Wilson to his outside. Pace car getting ready to peel off. I'm Ellis Thomas, joined in the booth by Chris Smith. Drivers getting settled out single file pretty early, but we've had 4 cautions tonight. We'll look to see if we can improve on the duration between cautions on this run. Bradley brings him back under green. Wilson high. Bechdel looking like he's not going to get I thought we were about to have an incident between Thomas Coonan and Evan Pienta there. We were 3 wide for a moment. Coonan forced the issue. Coonan all the way up to 7th position. He's going to duck underneath Pienta once again. Pienta not giving much room here. Doesn't have to. Right, this is a racetrack. This isn't a race, but these are the sorts of things that make me a little bit nervous early on in a run. Evan Pienta also trying to get by Scottie Sobczak. He's got his own battle he's fighting there as he ducks down to the inside of that red, white, and blue number 81 of Scott Sobczak. I know we've got some fans watching as we ride on board here with Thomas Coonan as they drive down the front straightaway, headed down into turn 1.
Yeah, a lot of close action right here, and the bottom lane's getting stacked up just a little bit here on this restart. And what that'll do is it'll help that outside lane roll as, man, Coonan is all
James
over.
Danforth sideways. He saves it out of turn
Nice
number
save.
4. I thought we were going to have a caution as we see it there live on TV. That was the second wildest save I've seen tonight. We saw another one out of Tony Caputo earlier on in the race before his single car spin about 15 laps ago. But, man, hell of a save. Chris, sorry to interrupt you on that.
No, that's okay. And yeah, we're seeing the bottom lane get stacked up a little bit on that restart. It's kind of, opened itself up now just a little bit as they get, a couple laps underneath them. But I'm surprised we didn't see many people jump to the outside right there to possibly try to make a pass on maybe some of the guys that were going a little bit slower trying to roll the bottom. I'm going to be watching Patrick Colby and Rye Jones. They're running back here on some of these fresher tires back in the 15th and 16th position. Here they are actually running side by side. Jones on slightly fresher tires. It's not a huge advantage because of the caution laps we've had, but Matt
Kuntz, it looks like down the back straightaway. I think that's going to bring out another yellow here on lap 62. Chris, this is what we talked about. I believe Kuntz, if I'm looking correctly, was on old tires. So that is going to be kind of a result of a loss of grip off the corner. We've seen that a couple times tonight. Driver the number 13 ended up on the short end of the stick on that one as we take a look at the replay for Kuntz and that number 13.
He tried to hold on to it for as long as he could. You can see those wheels. They kept on turning. They kept on spinning. He had them hard right and just couldn't quite hold on to it. But, damage is not too significant. Just nosed it into the inside wall.
Big wheels keep on turning. Isn't that the lyrics from
That's right.
Famous song?
Yeah, CCR.
Yep, Creedence Clearwater Revival. Probably not going to be the first time or the last time we hear that one tonight. Hey, if you're watching the chat, we appreciate you joining in. We are getting ready for some green flag pit stops. Leaders making their way down pit road. They're going to have a long one to go down.
They
Bradley
fake out.
Fakes it. Wilson fakes it. Evan Pienta and everyone else follow suit. Johnny Rapp and Ryan Hekel, actually that's Wesley Pistol, going to be the first drivers to come down pit road, and they look like they're not going to be joined by anyone for at least about 10 cars back, Chris. I don't know if the leaders are banking on late cautions and gaining an advantage by saving their tires till the end. I gotta imagine, and at the end of the day, if we were looking at the green flag laps that we've run, we're on lap number 64 right now. I suspect we're probably 30 to 35 laps, maybe 40 under caution. So the tire wear maybe not as extreme as the lap count might make it appear.
The only thing that
But
you gotta,
we have seen him getting loose.
yeah, the only thing that you gotta hope for is that this thing just does not go green for an extended period of time. And even if it does, it's just, I don't know if it's going to really hurt these guys that much. They're obviously going to lose positions, but I don't think they're going to go laps down like what we've seen here sometimes in the past. Just the tire wear is just so significant that if you are on fresh tires and, guys around you are, just have a little bit, just a few laps, the speed difference is still huge. So, we'll be curious to see what we get maybe if we do get a long green run here, what happens.
Yeah, and here's the interesting thing, Chris. I'm looking at the cautions we've had tonight, and they haven't been for people really wrecking each other. They've been for drivers kind of getting loose on their own accord, all by their lonesome. So, that, I suppose, is one silver lining we can find in a night. The tempers aren't going to be too high right now, but we are only on lap 66. Right now, I thought we were getting ready to go, but they might have delayed that a little bit. Thought we were lined up double file, but we got at least a couple of laps before we go green here. And we mentioned the first drivers on fresh tires, Chris, sitting 13th right now. Rye Jones and Patrick Colby are on fresh tires. They are in 13th and 14th, going to be starting on that 7th row, respectively. I think we're lined up for the green flag now, about 3/4 of a lap away. You mentioned keeping an eye on tire wear. Hey, couple other shout-outs. Jay Leach, he's up to 12th position in that number 22 truck. Having a good run. Jay Leach in that number 22. We've run with Jay in several races. Hasn't won a Slingshot Racing League race, but I remember a wild race at North Wilkesboro Jay won a couple of years back running with us in another league. So he's a skilled racer. He can do it right now. Speaking of skilled racers, Jacob Bradley, Justin Wilson, bring them back under green here. Lap number 68 of 200. Bradley is your leader. Aaron Smith ducks under the 51. Randy Bechdel to take third position. Bechdel struggles on that restart a little bit. We are back underway. Aaron Smith to third position. Randy Bechdel in fourth. Evan Pienta in fifth. Battle going on between Thomas Coonan and Josh Ward right now. This is a battle for the 7th position. Coonan under Ward. Coonan in the red and white. Ward in the blue and yellow. He's going to give up that position. Raymond Hanneman not too far back from Thomas Coonan, sitting in 9th position, that number 85 truck. He's moved up a handful of positions, 13 on the evening for Raymond Hanneman and that number 85. Good run going for both of those Team Street Limit trucks so far here in the early goings of the Hank Thomas Performance 200, riding on board with Josh Ward, looking at Hanneman in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, this is probably the best run we've seen the team overall have. We've seen the individual 85 and 86 up near the front at certain points this season, but I think this is the best that both of them have run all season, as we got Aaron Smith looking to the inside of Justin Wilson for the second spot.
Ask going on for second, Chris. This is difficult pass to pull off with that outside momentum that the outside line can generate, that power. You can see the effect of it off of turn 4 there. Justin Wilson has an advantage, but Aaron Smith continues to grind it out and work it out on that inside line. Looks like Wilson's going to have the upper hand at least for the next lap or so. Oh, Josh Ward, Thomas Coonan almost have contact, about 4 cars behind. They shift their strategies, they shift their lanes a little bit with Coonan going to the inside, Ward to the outside. That looks like it's settled at least for the time being, but Ward's got a handful of Coonan's teammate we were just talking about, Raymond Hanneman, who's breathing down his neck.
Yeah, Hanneman looking like he's got a good amount of speed right now as he's trying to make that pass. Up here, we've got Justin Wilson still under pressure from Aaron Smith. He's going to close the door on Smith for the second spot right there.
And track position, right, is everything here, especially with the amount of cautions we've seen. So doesn't surprise me. Justin Wilson, we've talked about how aggressive he's been all season. That's kind of been his mentality going into Season 6 of Slingshot Racing League. And these trucks, he said, I'm just going to let it all hang out. And to be quite honest, we haven't seen it really work out so far, but maybe tonight is the night he gets back on track, as Wilson, a former Slingshot Racing League champion, is running in second position right now, looking like he's having the best run of his season so far.
Yeah, we got Smith right here. Aaron Smith trying to generate some momentum up here. Couldn't quite get it like he needed to right there, but he is migrating up to the top right here. I think that he's doing this as a means to try to complete this pass possibly on Justin Wilson.
Yeah, we can see just the difference here.
Yeah,
Aaron Smith taking a different approach.
Yeah, as Justin Wilson moves up, Aaron Smith goes back to the bottom here. He's basically got the mentality of go where they ain't. The person in front of you, if they decide to move up, run the bottom. If they run the bottom, you're going to run the top.
Absolutely. Speaking of going where they ain't, Thomas Coonan going where Scott Sobczak is right now. This is a battle going on right behind these drivers, a battle for the 6th position. Coonan, for a couple of laps, was underneath Sobczak, and I swear at one point you couldn't have stuck it. Oh!
That's
Coonan
close.
almost gets in the left rear of Sobczak. Same kind of situation, very close. Couldn't have stuck a sheet of paper in between those two trucks, but we avoid disaster for the time being here. Lap 81 of 200 in the books, Chris. A couple of two-wide battles going on all over the track right now. One of the things I'm noticing, Hanneman coming up on the outside of his teammate, that cost Thomas Coonan a good bit of momentum.
Yeah, he was trying to make the pass for 6th, and he's going to fall back to 9th. Oh,
Ryan
Jones!
And Jay Leach. Jones is going to be sideways. Johnny Rapp gets
Oh,
on the
Jay
brakes.
Leach.
Jones comes back up. He takes Leach out sideways. A couple of cars are going to bring out caution number 5 on the night on lap 83. That was a wreck that took about 4 turns to happen, Chris.
Yeah, we're going to go back and watch this. I did not see exactly what started, but this could have been a situation where... Okay, yeah, we missed it just a little bit, so we're going to rewind here. Yeah, so... Looks like, both these drivers just kind of come together. I think it's very, very similar to the incident we saw earlier with Cordell Lofgren and Lee Campbell. Maybe just a situation where Rye Jones maybe thought that Jay Leach was going to go a little bit higher, though. You know, Jay Leach is pretty high
here. He ran
here.
his line, and Jones kind of honestly runs a typical line out of the corner. I think Rye maybe thought he was going to be clear, and that's even closer than that earlier incident we saw. So
Yeah.
that's a tough break. I think
It is.
Jones tried to fill a hole that wasn't necessarily there. It looks like they're both going to live to fight another day, even if we're looking at what happened to the 22 truck of Jay Leach. He's going to be okay. He was making hay through the field, though, so that's a shame for the driver of that 22, who he mentioned was on rocket laps around this track here on lap number 85. He was coming through the field. I'm curious to see who the EOL goes to on this one. Sam Maxwell is going to have a tough decision to make on who he sends to the back. Again, we do things short track style here. You cause the caution, you get an EOL end of line penalty. You go to the back for the restart. That's the way they do it on a lot of short tracks across America. So we'll see who that gets handed down to here in a moment. But right now,
leaders are on pit road.
Bradley, yeah, I was about to say we got some leaders coming down pit road here.
Yeah, Jacob Bradley's going to win that race off of pit road, but when he comes off of pit road, he will not be the leader of this field anymore. That honor is going to go now to his Payday Racing teammate, Johnny Rapp, who did come down pit road earlier. Johnny is sitting right now with about 21 laps on his tires right here. So, Johnny's kind of, made his bed right there, and he's got to lay in it now after that run. He was probably hoping for maybe a little bit less, but, I think it's still a really, really good position for him to be in, because if you look at, 2nd through about 8th right here, this is what, this is the field right now that Jacob Bradley, Justin Wilson, this is what they got to work through to get back up to Johnny Rapp.
Yep, they have got their work cut out for them. And Chris, it sounds like to me they're going to need some Apex Energy Drink. Our primary title sponsor of the series for 6 seasons, Chris. Apex Energy has been with Slingshot Racing League. Let's go ahead and take a moment to hear from Apex Energy Drink before we get back underway here at Bristol. All right, back here at Bristol. Green flag out once again. Johnny Rapp gets a great start, a great launch on Sean Johnson, second place. Wesley Pistol and Dan Rowe do battle for third position right now. They're going to come up right behind Sean Johnson. Chris, this is going to present an interesting dynamic on the racetrack right now. Several cars that are fast and running up front all night are now mired back in the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th position and further back, and they're going to have their work cut out for them, as we mentioned before the commercial break. Ryan Hinkle off the bumper of Evan Pienta. We almost had an incident there, and there are several more developing even further back in the field. More two-wide racing here. After a restart, Pienta jumps to the inside to get by Tompkins. Meanwhile, Bechdel and Hinkle and Warren and Sobczak are all stacked up behind him. I feel like I'm reading a Dr. Seuss book here, trying to keep track of all the cars going by each other, Chris.
Yeah, and in the scrum that was going on right there, Justin Wilson has jumped Jacob Bradley. His lane just moved a little bit quicker, and that's important. That's an important development right there, as now Justin Wilson leads all the drivers on fresh tires here.
And we've got a new leader. Dan Rowe in the 68 jumps by Johnny Rapp. He goes to the lead, and Dan Rowe is on the same tire lappage, or tire degradation, I guess, is Johnny Rapp, at least in terms of laps, or 28 laps on those tires. So new leader in town. Dan Rowe takes the point for the first time tonight in that number 68, Chris. He's a consistent driver. We've seen Dan Rowe have some good runs over the course of the season. We've seen him start 15th tonight. He's all the way up to the lead. A little bit of help from some tire strategy there, but hey, you'll take it how you can get it. Coming up to the halfway mark, I suppose that driver, the number 68, Rowe, is going to be pretty happy with that run he's got going. Meanwhile, Johnny Rapp cedes the second position to Justin Wilson, getting ready to give it over to Jacob Bradley as well. Rapp back to fourth. Aaron Smith going to try to put him back into the fifth position. Yellow flag is out. I believe that was James Ledford potentially. And see what happened to the driver, the number 48 here on lap number 96. I might have read that wrong.
Yeah, we're going to see if... I don't have anything showing up on my end right now.
I think it might have been... Let's see. Yeah, we're going to go up. For some reason, it didn't register it on the... I'm watching it, trying to pull it up. Oh, yeah. Chris Pierce checked up. The 22 of Jay Leach checked up, and Rye Jones just went... he had nowhere to go. I don't know if he forgot where the brake pedal was on his truck, but he definitely got into the back of a couple of trucks that were sideways in front of him, and I think that kind of magnified the situation a little bit.
Yeah, and we'll ride on board with Rye Jones right here. You know, sometimes when you are here at Bristol, it's hard to see. It's really hard to see what, that looks like what happened. You know, when
Chris Pierce slid up in front of Dan Berg,
yeah,
which created a situation where both of those drivers were sideways and on the brakes. Jay Leach also gets on the brakes. You had Thomas Coonan down there at the 85, rather, I believe, Hanneman, who kind of blocked any hole or exit plan those drivers might have had, and just no one had anywhere to go. Yeah,
that's just an unfortunate circumstance right there. That's just a typical Bristol wreck. It looks like guys just charge into wrecks here, as Pierce slid up right there on Berg. But it's just so hard to see, especially when you're down in the middle of the corner. That's when it's at its worst. I mean, you just cannot see anything, because just the banking of this track and how tight the corners are, really, really difficult to see.
Yeah, and just to update on penalties, Chris, that previous caution where Rye Jones did something very similar. He got the EOL, and in this lap, in this instance, Chris Pierce is going to get the EOL for kind of being the initiator of that chain reaction incident by sliding up into the two of Dan Berg. So,
I think both those calls are very fair.
Consistent calls from our race director, Sam Maxwell, just based on what we've seen here.
At the end of the day, I think that the tone that I think our race director, Sam, is trying to make is when you are the inside car on corner exits, don't run as close to the guy on the outside. Give just a little bit of space.
Yeah, and I think we've seen that happen multiple times this season. I think that's something, I don't know if it's perspective out of these trucks with the bed being a little bit deeper than the rear end of a traditional stock car. But we've seen that definitely play a factor in probably more cautions I think any driver in the field would prefer Right now, lap 100, we are halfway at Bristol. Hopefully we get some longer runs here in halfway. Dan Rowe is your leader. Justin Wilson, Chris, you mentioned at critical point in the race, made his way by Jacob Bradley. First time he'd been able to do it all night. They're both on the same tire strategy, so that moved critical. We're seeing a Justin Wilson tonight. We haven't seen all season that driver out of Navarre, Florida, driving that 58 Margaritaville Chevy Silverado, is looking like he has got a flame going inside that truck tonight. We'll see if he can keep that flame lit for the next 100 laps as we get ready to rack him up one more time for the green flag here in just a moment.
Yeah, not surprised at all to see a driver wearing a Buzz Lightyear suit be as
it matches the car too.
It does, yep.
All right, so we're going to see that Buzz Lightyear driver get going here. Hopefully he's hoping to take off like a rocket ship. Pace car pulls off. Wilson leads him down. Dan Rowe, I believe, actually took the outside.
Yeah, he's the leader.
Dan Rowe was the control car. He chose to go to the outside. Sorry, I missed that. Justin Wilson quickly going to go by on fresh tires, though, Chris.
Yeah, he's going to make his way inside right here. These drivers on fresh tires lined up on the bottom right here. Both Wilson and Bradley making their way by Dan Rowe. And we got Aaron Smith looking to follow suit as well. He's not wanting those two payday guys to get too far out in front of him right here, as we've got some green flag running right here. Everybody's being really respectful of each other here on this restart. Not as crazy what we've seen on some of the other ones.
No, definitely not as crazy. We saw Aaron Smith aggressively make that move. Evan Pienta now looking to follow suit under Dan Rowe. Chris, I'm afraid for Dan Rowe, the older tire equation is kind of catching up with him now as he finds himself sliding back in the pack. Not really much competition for these drivers with fresher tires at the moment.
Yeah, it's just hard. It's just difficult. But, you know, I think that when those guys decided to pit, if they could maybe cycle out, maybe Daniel Rowe could cycle.
Caution is out right from the
in
field.
front of these
Dan
guys.
Berg on the inside apron. Sorry to interrupt there, but we had leaders coming by with a car down there on the apron as we had a battle for the lead. Not sure what happened to that number 2 truck, Chris.
Yeah, we're going to see right here. This is Dan Berg right here in the number 2. Looking at the inside of Lee Campbell here. And a little bit loose right there on the exit of 4. Went back a little bit too far here, but on the exit of turn 2 here. Yeah, he's side by side with Tony Caputo. Oh, a little bit of contact with Caputo. Bounces off Paul Thomas. Cordell Lofgren gets into the back of him. And he stops right here on the track.
A couple of things I think we could probably live without is a car going full throttle into an incident and also stopping on the racing surface while leaders coming by. But hey, things happen in the moment here. We've had a handful of cautions under 108 laps tonight. Chris, we knew going into this. It's Bristol. It's trucks. You're going to have guys beating and banging. We've seen a slick racing surface with tires that are wearing out pretty quickly. Joe Stankovic says Berg's wheel disconnected. Happened twice now.
See, that's why you shouldn't jump to conclusions there.
Yeah, so Dan Berg in that number 2 truck. The cause of caution number 7 on the night, 108 laps down. Jacob Bradley, Justin Wilson were fighting back and forth, battling here at the last great Coliseum, Bristol. Bradley is scored as your leader, Justin Wilson second. Dan Rowe, who led that restart just a couple of laps ago, back to 4th position. Evan Pienta in the 5th position. Chris, Randy Bechdel up to 6th after dropping back under a series of, not a series of pit stops, but a pit cycle, looking to climb his way back up through the field. Sean Johnson also holding tough on older tires back there in the 9th position.
Well, you talk about, Daniel Rowe, Johnny Rapp, Sean Johnson, some of these guys that are on older tires, Wesley Pistol as well. These multiple cautions right here since some of our leaders pit, that's great news for them because that advantage that those guys have, that just gets smaller and smaller and smaller with every single one of these cautions here as their tires can cool down. So, yeah, if you're Daniel Rowe, that decision, Johnny Rapp, that decision feels really, really good right now because especially Rowe in the 68, he's gained a lot of track position because of that.
Yeah. Right now the caution's kind of fallen their way. I can't help but hope maybe that we get a green flag feel to this race, at least maybe in the last quarter of it, once these drivers kind of get more laps and maybe the field thins out just a little bit. We've seen several drivers have incidents to pull off the track for the evening. Right now we're going to be gridding up one to go here. About 90 laps left tonight. Those 90 laps can go by fast, Chris. We're talking about 15-second laps around this track.
Yep.
If we were to go green the entire time, it's a 45-minute race.
Yep.
So right now, keeping us up past our bedtime longer than we need to be up. But you know what? It's okay. Everyone likes to see a little bit of racing. So I don't mind staying up late if I'm getting to watch some racing while we're at it. Hey, speaking of watching, we appreciate all the fans in the chat right now. Appreciate every one of you tuning in. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, if you are not subscribed to our channel, go ahead. Every subscription doesn't cost you a thing, but it helps our channel immensely and get these drivers in front of more eyeballs. Speaking of eyeballs, Justin Wilson's got some big eyeballs looking for the lead right now on the restart. Bradley leads into the green. Wilson's going to be second. Smith back to third position. Evan Pienta sitting in the fourth position right now. He's got Dan Rowe right behind him, who's not giving up. Almost to stack up there, Chris. Randy Bechdel had to get on the brakes, and I believe that was Thomas Coonan, who also accordingly had to get on the brakes on the outside, or we were going to have some major issues here on lap number 13, 113. Not saying we're not yet, but some issues averted. Crisis averted there. So we watched several drivers still 2 by 2 by 2. Randy Bechdel working on the inside of Dan Rowe there, going for the 5th position, and here we are. Another caution is out.
It's like
Looks
Raymond
like the driver
Hanneman, maybe?
of the number.
Tony Caputo also involved.
Let's see if we can figure out what happened here.
Yeah, we'll go back, and we won't go near as far back as what we went before. See if we can get a little bit closer to it.
Trying to figure out myself. 85 gets loose, Chris. Overcorrects in the middle of the corner. Everyone, for the most part. Oh,
Yeah.
looks like Patrick O'Toole forgot there was a brake pedal there going
Well,
through this.
That's just an example of how hard it is to see here. We'll ride on board with Patrick O'Toole so you can see what he would see possibly, and he's already towed, went back to the pits. Yeah, he's already made contact right here in his Apex Energy Toyota. We're actually going to see if we can have the best driver perspective. That's not the best one. This is the best one right here that we can possibly have. And we're also riding on the right, sort of the right side, so keep that in mind here. We don't see exactly his... All you see is corner, 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 and then all of a sudden he stopped right there in the middle of the track. So, yeah, it looks like he charges in, but it's just so hard here. I cannot emphasize it enough how hard it is to see, when there's a car crash in front of you on this track.
And looking right now, pit road, we're going to see the 68 of Dan Rowe. I think Johnny Rapp going to come with him. These cars who had been out on tires for quite a bit of time, long duration on those Goodyear tires, going to be coming down pit road to get some fresh rubber. Lap number 117 of 200, watching the field pace around. Chris, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, get in a word from our partners. We're going to hear from Evan Pienta Designs real quick. He's cooked up several of the paint schemes you see in the race right now.
Are you looking for high-quality, affordable sim racing paint schemes and graphics? Then look no further than Evan at Evan Pienta Designs. Driven by speed, Evan Pienta Designs offers a multitude of sim racing graphics, from liveries to social media graphics to team and series logos. To see some of the work done by Evan, or even race one of the public liveries he's made, head on over to tradingpaints.com and search Evan Pienta.
Haptics is everything from the rumble in your game controller to the vibration from your text notification. Essentially, it's a sense of touch mediated by technology. In our increasingly digital world, there's a divide between the technology we use and how we're used to interacting with the world. Haptics bridges this divide by introducing feedback through your sense of touch. This allows your brain to connect with what it's seeing on a screen or in a game. ButtKicker is a pioneer in haptic technology. For over 20 years, ButtKicker hardware has helped cinemas, musicians, and gamers immerse themselves in their medium and drastically increase their experiences. Not only does it increase immersion, but for things like sim racing, it can actually help you drive better by introducing real-time accurate feedback. To learn more about ButtKicker haptics, head over to thebuttkicker.com.
All right, back here at Bristol, getting ready, 80 laps left in the Hank Thomas Performance 200 for Slingshot Racing League in the Apex Energy Truck Series. Jacob Bradley is your leader. He's going to be leading that bright yellow number 70 to the green flag. Aaron Smith in second. Great jump for Jacob Bradley here in the number 50, Chris. He's got a pole shot on Justin Wilson and Aaron Smith. Meanwhile, battle for fourth going on between Randy Bechdel, Evan Pienta. That is also Thomas Coonan sliding up there into the outside, going for the fifth position. Coonan, his highest running order tonight. He gets in the back of Evan Pienta. Battle going on for fourth position. Coonan sticks it to the outside. Pienta sticks to his guns on the inside. Pienta almost does what we've seen a couple of drivers do tonight by sliding up into the truck on the outside. Fortunately, he thinks better of it. That's Thomas Coonan and Evan Pienta continue to battle for fourth, now fifth position, headed down into turn number 3 and 4. Looks like Hanneman's going to win the duel, at least there. But we got a battle for the lead, Chris. Aaron Smith takes it to the outside. We've seen him do this a couple times tonight to try to make passes. The driver of the number 70 is on the outside. Caution is out again.
Oh, this might be a big one. Oh, yeah, several trucks involved. The 92 of Josh Ward, one of our points leaders. Looks like Jay Haishman involved. I think I saw Wesley Pistol turned around as well. Jay Leach. Man, it's been a tough night for Jay Leach tonight. It looks like he has towed it.
It looks like it might have started with Jay Leach, Chris, getting loose in front of Jones. Jones narrowly avoids it. I thought Ward was going to miss it, but the number 22 came back up the track.
Yeah, that's sometimes, sometimes you'll overcorrect, and that's what happened right here with Jay Leach. He had the wheels cut hard right, trying to hold on to it, and it finally bites. And if you're a driver on the outside, you just hope that driver is going to spin to the inside right there. And unfortunately, when it bit and it came right back out in front of Josh Ward, Wesley Pistol, Sean Johnson, looks like Scott Tompkins, Jay Haishman as well. We'll actually ride on board right here with Josh Ward to show you what he saw. And what you're going to see is it looks like he's going to be able to roll the outside right here to get around these guys. And we'll have to ride on board with him here. We'll actually hop in the car. Yeah, you see Leach get loose right here. He fights it, then hooks back to the right. And, man, just nowhere for Josh to go.
It's your Josh Ward. I feel like I'm driving through that thinking I'm getting through it.
Yep.
Until that very last minute. And then Scott Tompkins comes in there and adds insult to injury a little bit.
Yeah, and that's all you can hope for is that driver will just keep that truck, keep those wheels hooked to the left. But if you're Jay Leach, you're in the fight to try to hold on to it. So it's a tough call right there with what you should do. Racing veterans will always tell you just lock it down to the left right there and just hold those brakes.
So right now, the driver's not holding the brakes. Jacob Bradley, Aaron Smith, Justin Wilson. Thomas Coonan makes his way up to fourth position. Evan Pienta rounds out the top 5. Chris, about 75 laps left here, and if we can get some green flag action, those are going to go by pretty fast. So right now, these guys up front running out of time to get the job done here. If you've got, I'm looking just through the field, Randy Bechdel, he's in 6th. If he's going to win this race tonight, we saw him running second early on. If he's going to win, he's got some cars to pass here in the closing portion of this race. If you're the driver of the number 8 or the number 51 truck. Looking further through the field, Chris, Paul Thomas, how about the run this driver of the number 42 truck has going tonight? He stayed out, knock on wood, a lot of this trouble for Paul. And he is sitting in the 16th position at Bristol. I think if we had talked to him in pre-race, he probably would have said, I'm not going to believe that 127 laps in, I'm going to be running 16th. Obviously, there's 75 laps left to run. But good job for the driver, that number 42 out of Alabama tonight. James Ledford, Chris, back with us. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
Sorry, I was just going to say, what a great job Paul Thomas has done this season of, keeping his nose clean, staying out of trouble, doing a really nice job of that. And, he's running in the top 16 right here.
Yeah, you just drive the track, you race your own race, and it turns out you can work your way up through the field pretty well by the end of one of these things. So Paul doing a good job. Right in front of him, James Ledford back with us for the first time in several races in that 48. He's got a good run in 15th position. So solid top 15 going for James right now. Leaders coming to the green flag for another time. Bradley hits the throttle. We are back underway. Aaron Smith, Chris, did not get going on that restart like we're used to seeing him going. It opened the hole for Wilson. It also opened the hole for Evan Pienta, that number 55 underneath. That is a close battle between Aaron Smith and Justin Wilson. Thomas Coonan joins the fray coming off of turn 4. Coonan looking to the outside of Evan Pienta, trying to retain the 4th position. Chris, if I'm on the outside, I'm really nervous right now with those 3 cars stacked up on top of each other. Wilson's going to jump to the inside. Meanwhile, Randy Bechdel trying to hold off Scottie Sobczak. This is a battle for the 6th position. Bechdel doing everything he can, but right now Aaron Smith, whale of a run off the corner. And Chris, they're doing everything they can just to hang on to the back bumper of Jacob Bradley, who's running off with it a little bit right now. Did Smith get the wall there?
He did. He's trying to roll the center a little bit quicker than what he can because he's trying to get the nose to that right rear quarter panel of Justin Wilson. Justin Wilson can slide up in front of him on the exit of every corner. He can't this time, though, as Smith is going to get to the outside of Wilson right here. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to get that position on him, and he should be able to clear him right here and complete that pass.
He's going to clear him, headed down into turn number 3 and 4. Aaron Smith takes over the 2nd position. Justin Wilson now fighting to hang on to the 3rd position. Thomas Coonan put the fight to him in that number 86 truck. He ducks to the inside with a big run off of the corner there on the outside. Coonan switches lanes. Can he hang with him down to the inside? How aggressive is he going to be with that move? Justin Wilson's going to give him the room if he wants it, but Wilson's got that advantage, that powerhouse that engine can create off of the outside. Wilson channels it into retaining that 3rd position. Evan Pienta now going to set his sights on Coonan and see if he can take advantage of any of that lost momentum. Coonan not letting go of the back bumper of that number 58 of Justin Wilson, though, as they head down into turn 3, Chris. Randy Bechdel is sitting in 6th position. Scottie Sobczak in 7th. James Danforth doing a good job of hanging on to the 8th position right now. Aaron Smith, we see him go high. I'm curious to take a look at the lap times and the margin between 1st and 2nd. I think Smith is sensing that it's go time, Chris.
He is. He's really, really turned up the wick here. I think that these drivers, are realizing that this race does not have a green flag look to it. Probably will not have a green flag look to it right now. And, they've got some tires laying around in the pits, and so they can afford to push it a little bit harder right here. As, man, Aaron Smith is, you notice right there, about a 1/10.5 faster than Jacob Bradley that last lap. That is huge on a track like this.
Now, if I'm a betting man, I wonder if Smith is able to get by. And we watched Jacob Bradley. Did you see him adjust his line?
Move that line up. Yeah, you were just about to mention that. He's going to adjust his line right here because he sees what Aaron Smith is doing. Going to take that line away from him. Also going to see if he can try to find some speed up there. And that last lap by, Jacob Bradley ran about a 10th quicker than Aaron Smith did. So the roles reversed that last lap.
Yeah, you see the good drivers adjust the line. That's something we often see in NASCAR with the pros, Chris. If they see someone coming up behind them, especially if we're talking about a battle for the lead, they adjust. And Jacob Bradley made the adjustment there as they worked their way around the lap car of Tony Caputo, the lap truck, I should say, who's had a hard night with a couple of incidents, just looking to keep it on the track at this point. If you're the number 7 as the leaders work their way around, I think everyone's telling him that we want to be on the outside at this point. Caputo kind of yielding to the leaders. Oh, is Thomas Coonan going to try to take advantage of that lap car as a pick as he tries to get underneath Justin Wilson? Going to get a nose on him, but I think that number 58 is going to have the advantage off the corner there. That is a battle for the 3rd position. It looks like things are stationary right now with the leaders, but as they come up on the lap traffic now, Lee Campbell coming up next, anything can happen, right? If you're watching a real-life NASCAR race, I think it starts to get really exciting when you see the lap cars coming into the camera shot, because if these lap cars aren't easy to get by or there are a couple racing side by side, that could potentially bring the 2nd place car back up to the leader, Chris.
Yeah, and you saw Aaron Smith, when Jacob Bradley changed his line and got up in front of Aaron Smith right there, I think that Aaron said, "No mas, I'm done trying to run." Like, he ran really, really hard for about 4 or 5 laps there. And I think he realized that, once Bradley switched his line and picked up the pace as well, I think he realized I can't keep on running up there. I can't keep on running this pace. I got to back off right there because he backed way off. He's way up the track again right there. Saw him up there in 3 and 4 as Jacob Bradley's going to lap around both Lee Campbell and Jay Leach. That these guys are going to hold Aaron Smith up just a little bit right here as he's trying to work his way around them. But that's it's very interesting to get into the psychology of what these guys are doing.
Yeah, and I think
Lee Campbell blew an engine. I think I heard an engine blow up, and he's up high right here.
We're gonna hopefully he stays high, and everyone sees what's going on as they go down in the corner. He's waiting to get down. I think the question is, are we gonna have a caution? That is going to be the yellow.
Yep.
Yellow flag is out, and Chris, I think that was a great call on the race director. I know it's not one you want to make to throw a manual yellow like that, but we had a car stopped up on the outside that was potentially going to cause problems for the leaders coming around. So unfortunate stop to what was turning out to be a really good long green flag run, the longest one of the night. But it's going to set up probably a 45-lap shootout, and that's going to go by in no time, Chris. So Lee Campbell does look like he blows an engine. It's going to throw a monkey wrench in some of these drivers' plans.
Yeah, you could hear the engine blow up. I couldn't tell exactly where it was, but when you get all these cars, all these trucks, with the damage that they have, sometimes engines will blow as a result.
And this is going to probably give the leaders an opportunity now on 66-lap old tires. They are coming in. Leaders are coming to their pit crews here. Long pit road. Jacob Bradley going to come down on the backstretch. He'll have to wait till the front stretch to come to the attention of the crew of that number 50. But this is going to be interesting, Chris. I think if we get a green flag run, this certainly I don't think will be the last time we see these cars pit. I as much as I wish we could go 50 laps without a yellow. We were working on it right there, I should say, but right now, Jacob Bradley coming to the attention of his crew, potentially the last time under caution. I don't know if we'll see that or not, but it's going to be curious to see who wins the battle off pit road because it's going to be a big one.
It is, and Jacob Bradley's got that prime position right here. He's got that prime spot right here. All you got to do is just dump the clutch and roll just a little bit. He's already got left side tires going on right here. Aaron Smith, Justin Wilson is going to be close for second. I think that Wilson with that inside line is actually going to get the second spot.
Yep, had the shorter way around pit road. Wilson is going to take second from Aaron Smith. That is a one position, but a critical point in the race. You can see the battle. Oh, it's saying that the 70 won the battle off pit road. We're going to see if that changes or not.
Yeah, I think that Wilson does win the race right there. Even if maybe the time might have showed Smith, I'm not. Yeah, I think that he did have the spot coming off pit road there. So
I'm curious to ask a bit of a few questions from the audience, from the chat, from our viewers. If you're watching live right now on SRL TV on YouTube, let us know. Do you think we're going to have another caution before the end of this race? I know it seems like an obvious answer, but maybe there's some optimistic folks in the chat.
They're a bright bunch. They know which way this is going to go.
They are. They are bright. We'll see how it runs out. Let us know who you're rooting for in the chat. Steve Bradley says there's absolutely going to be another caution.
Yeah. I'm with you.
I think you're probably right as the laps wind down here in Bristol. Hey, one thing I want to mention, we always mention subscribers. It is important to the channel. I noticed looking at some statistics recently, nearly half of the viewers who watch live haven't subscribed yet. So if you are not subscribed, look right underneath the video and click subscribe. Doesn't cost you a thing other than getting every piece of live content and not live content that we put up on SRL TV. Right now, Jacob Bradley's getting ready to put up a fight, getting ready to go back green here at Bristol. Bradley's going to lead Justin Wilson as the pace car gets ready to peel off. We're going to have 45 laps to go. We'll see if we can get a green flag run in here right now. Bradley leads. Wilson has trouble getting going. It's going to open the door for the yellow truck of Aaron Smith on the inside. Can he complete that pass? He's going to have to slide up in front of him. He thinks better of it. Will the inside line prevail, or will the outside line be able to channel? Oh, Rye Jones, Thomas Coonan battle for 5th position. Almost goes awry as Jones gets into the back of Coonan, but stays on the brake rather than turning the 86 around. Good job. Good heads-up driving by the number 91, Rye Jones there. Johnny Rapp working on the back of the number 91 right now. He's got Daniel Rowe, who's on the same lap. Everyone, Chris, through top 20 is on the same tire strategy.
Yeah.
So I think that question of whether Johnny Rapp, Dan Rowe, and Rye Jones, how that was going to pan out, that can be put to rest at this point. This time it's just mano a mano, one-on-one. Every driver in the same strategy. Oh, Thomas Coonan dive bombs Evan Pienta here on lap number 159. Pienta darts back up the track as he notices it. Coonan continues to ride the left rear quarter panel of that number 55 EPD car. How hard is he going to force it? You see him sideways through that corner, Chris. It's going to open up the door for the number 91 of Rye Jones to complete the pass on the outside. You try to make the pass, you lose momentum, and Coonan paid the price right there, Chris.
Yeah, he did. Coonan's really shallowing up that corner entry like that and driving in corner entry really, really hard, and that's what caused him to gain all that great. Oh, Dan Rowe into the back of Coonan.
Coonan. We are still green. Every driver gathers it up. Wow, I'm surprised we didn't have a caution there. But wow, Coonan does a good job of hanging on to that, getting it back going. He's going to probably be hot under that helmet. Tempers flaring maybe a little bit for the driver of that number 86, but Coonan gets it going. We are still green. Back up at the front, Chris, it's Bradley, Wilson, and Smith. Last time by, I'm looking at the laps. It looks like Bradley ran the fastest lap that time by. Rye Jones is a little bit faster, Chris. He's wrapping the top. How long do those tires hang on? Can they hold on for 36 laps?
Well, I think they should get a few really, really good. Oh, Evan Pienta's around.
Loose off the corner. That is most certainly going to bring out a caution here with just 35 laps to go. That is like a replay we've seen all night, Chris.
Evan. I thought he was gonna pull out right in front of James Ledford right there. And yeah, we've seen that all night tonight. What an action-packed few laps that we had right there.
We did have some stuff going on all around the track. I warned you before this race started. This track thinks faster than my brain does. So we're just trying to play catch up through most of the evening. Are we looking at what happened here between Coonan and Dan Rowe?
That's Evan Pienta right there.
Coonan takes a slightly elevated line in the corner right, and Dan Rowe, I think, wanted that real estate.
Yeah, we'll go back and see if we can find the incident that occurred right there with... Go back probably a couple laps right here, see if we can find it. I really don't want to just rewind it. Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, so this is the incident right here with Rowe and Coonan. So Thomas Coonan just got passed by Rye Jones right here, and he's running the bottom right here, trying to make up a lot of ground right there on corner entry, and Daniel Rowe is going to make a move to the inside right there, and I think that Thomas Coonan was trying to protect his position, and unfortunately, got turned right there for it, and that's just two drivers fighting for the same real estate. Short track racing.
Yes, especially in the closing laps of this race, just 34 laps left. And those are going to go by in a heartbeat, Chris, as we look to see who is going to take home the victory here. Speaking of victories, quick trivia question in the chat. Let us know, who is the all-time winningest NASCAR driver at Bristol? Who do you think it is? Who is the all-time winningest driver? And hey, you better boogity and hurry up getting those answers in.
You can't make it too easy on them now.
Well, maybe. Is that what you was I right? Was your guess right in line with what I was saying?
Yeah, it was. There's a couple of guys that are really, really close to this guy who has the most. But this guy who has the most, he won a bunch of them in a row here.
We'll give a few more moments. People get in chat, who's the all-time winningest NASCAR driver at Bristol Motor Speedway? We got Steve Bradley throwing in the wall trip guess here, or the whether that's an educated guess or just a guess. Steve Bradley says wall trip. I'm curious who Don Hilbrins thinks it is here. So We'll wait to hear a couple of more answers. Let us know who's the all-time winningest NASCAR driver at Bristol. It's getting down to it, Chris. 30 laps left, 31 laps left in the Hank Thomas Performance 200 here from the Thunderdome, the last great Coliseum, Thunder Valley, Bristol Motor Speedway. Slingshot Racing League bringing you live racing action. Race number 7. 3 races remaining, Chris, in the regular season before the playoffs. Lots at stake tonight. Every point matters. Tonight's also a crown jewel race, so the winner of this race is going to get a $25 paycheck sent to them. It's not going to be a big check, but it's a check.
It's money.
It's PayPal technically, but we just don't have the funding for like a major massive, cardboard check. Maybe one day, but right now, Justin Wilson, Jacob Bradley, Aaron Smith, Rye Jones, all looking to see if they're going to have a say in who's going to win this race. Pace car getting ready to peel off, I believe. Coming to 30 laps to go. Bradley's going to have control on this restart. He hits that throttle. We've seen that outside line, Chris, struggle with several of the past 3 or 4 restarts. Aaron Smith going to take advantage of that. He's going to jump down to the inside. It's a battle for second between Smith and Wilson. Wilson in the purple and green car on the outside. Oh, Sean Johnson, Thomas Coonan in the back, takes out several cars. I believe that's going to be about 6 or 7 cars taken out, Chris. Paul Thomas involved in that one. He had a good night going. He was running top 15 at that point. Randy Bechdel, Chris, also involved in that incident.
Yeah, we're going to go back here and see if we can see what transpired here following Randy Bechdel. And, yeah, these guys get sideways right in front of him. Not sure what happened, why Randy Bechdel has lost his track position here. We might have to go back.
He came in. He took tires.
That's right,
on that
he did.
last
Yeah,
stop, and
that's
he
right,
put
he
himself back in the danger zone. It looks like, Chris, that might have been Thomas Coonan, who potentially, I'm not sure what happened there. He got into the back of Sean Johnson in the 32 and just turned him around. And we mentioned, as these races go on, the patience wears thin. Drivers looking to make their way back up through the field. Sometimes judgment lapses.
Yeah.
Fire gets going underneath that visor on the helmet. And,
we're getting down
you're
to
going
it.
for it.
Less than
We are
30 to
getting
go.
down to it.
Yep, and that's a difference on corner entry speed right there. Sean Johnson was not driving it in as hard as what Thomas Coonan has been driving it in all night on corner entry, and there was some contact between those two cars.
There was definitely some contact to bring out. I think we're on the 10th or 11th caution, probably not worth counting at this point. But it's going to mean we're going to have a probably 23-lap restart here for these Apex Energy Truck Series drivers presented by Hank Thomas Performance in the HTP 200 here at Bristol. We mentioned it. Randy Bechdel had come in. Several drivers, Chris, had come in and taken tires. The first one I'm looking at on freshies at this point is Chris Pierce. Randy Bechdel, I think, is going to be okay as well.
Yeah.
On that. I think he's did not sustain much damage. So I'm curious. I don't think they wanted to see that caution. I'm curious to see what they've got in about 25 laps, where those fresh tires are going to take them.
Yeah, they really needed it to go green right there. They needed to be able to gain as many spots as they possibly could. Randy Bechdel's sitting good on points. He's been really, really fast all season. He doesn't have anything to worry about. He can afford to gamble just a little bit right there, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad call for him. One driver that I want to give a quick shout out to, running right here in the 6th position. In the 7th position, Scott Tompkins, who we've seen be involved. His truck's, a little bit beat up here. He's been involved in a couple of incidents, not of his making right here, but he's been to pit road 6 times tonight and currently running in the 7th position. So a good run for Scott tonight.
Yeah, that shows you perseverance pays off, and Scott Tompkins looking to finish this race with the top 10 after having some early trouble, almost like Denny Hamlin wrecking in every single stage of the real-life NASCAR race at Atlanta this past weekend. Scottie Tompkins, if we had stages, has probably had his own trifecta of involvement in incidents, but it's come down pit road now 6 times, as Chris said. Right now, the pace car is going to be getting ready to come down pit road here in just about half a lap as we get ready to go back green flag racing at Bristol. It's going to be about a 24-lap shootout. And if we're going green flag, which I suspect that we're not going to make it green the entire way, that's about 6 minutes. So these drivers are getting down to it here in Thunder Valley. Jacob Bradley leading Justin Wilson. Those are your top two. Aaron Smith and Rye Jones also want to have a say in this. We are green once again. Bradley gets the jump. Wilson gets a better start this time. He's got 91 right up to his back bumper. The battle is for second. Aaron Smith on the inside. Justin Wilson on the outside. Too wide as they head down into turn 3 and 4. Wilson looks like he's going to have an advantage on exit. He does. Aaron Smith's going to be cleared. He's back to third position. Johnny Rapp to the inside, Chris. He's on the same tire strategy now, but he's got a lot of speed these past couple of laps. I've seen out the driver that number 52. No, John Rapp in the chat's going to be happy to see that 52 running as up front as he is right now. He's got Scottie Sobczak in his rear view mirror. Scott Tompkins' caution flag is out. And I believe that was Tony Caputo, driver of the number 7. It might have happened up ahead of him, though.
It's like Paul Thomas.
Get a look at it.
Paul Thomas turned around up here.
Looked like potentially got, I can't really tell from my camera angle, but looked like there was some involvement from the 86 truck there.
Yeah, it looks like, so Raymond Hanneman is up into the wall here on the outside, and Thomas Coonan trying to split the gap right there. And, from my perspective right here, I think Paul Thomas is doing a nice job of holding his line right here. And I kind of see that, that 86 shooting to the left. Yeah, just to the left, just a little bit there. I don't know if he got loose right there, but unfortunately hooked Paul Thomas right up into the outside retaining wall right there.
Yeah, Paul probably not going to be happy about that one. Just 20 laps to go, Chris, and gets taken out. Kind of by no fault of his own there.
Yeah, it's 3 wide right there.
86, 3 wide, just trying to cut the middle.
Yeah, that's a tricky pass to make, 3 wide, and it's hard to shoot that gap.
Yeah, I think there are going to be a lot of drivers coming out of this race with some penalty points tonight, Chris. I think those charts are going to go up just a little bit. We keep logs on every incident we see. We've had our race controller.
Man,
he's been busy tonight up in the booth.
Busy.
Sam Maxwell, he deserves a bonus tonight in that race control booth. Have to sort these out. Just it feels like constantly tonight, Chris.
He's been a busy man tonight, and I'm sure that there have been a lot of drivers maybe who are looking to maybe settle some grudges that have transpired over the course of the night tonight. Want to revisit very quickly in the chat right here. Looks like we got a couple of people who looks like both Steve Bradley and Don Hilbrins are going with Waltrip is their answer for the trivia question. I'm assuming they're not going with Michael Waltrip. I'm assuming they're going with Darrell here.
I think you're probably right, and as your hunch told you, they were correct. Darrell Waltrip, 12 wins, as Don Hilbrand says, at Bristol. He has the most, his home track, actually, here, Bristol, Tennessee. Darrell Waltrip is the king of Bristol. 12 wins. Who's going to be the king tonight, Chris? Who do you got your money on? Who's looking good in your mind at this point?
They got to go up there and take it from Jacob Bradley, and I think it's going to be hard. Very, very, very difficult. Justin Wilson's had good speed all night, too. We've seen Aaron Smith be able to roll the top a few times really, really well, but I think it's going to be hard. It's going to be really, really difficult to pass Jacob Bradley. He's been super, super fast all night. He's been the dominant truck. He has led the most laps, and they're going to have to take it away from him, and I think it's going to be difficult to do that.
I think it is going to be difficult. And just looking at the top 4 right now, looking at Justin Wilson, Aaron Smith, I don't see either one of those drivers being someone who's going to move someone out of the way for the win. Justin might be. He said he's going to race more aggressively this season in that 58. So very well, he could move his teammate, which complicates things a little bit, out of the way. Aaron Smith, we know how Aaron races. Rye Jones, not a bad person, but he will go for it. He's a fast race car driver. And we've seen him put the pedal to the metal a couple of times, and he's not afraid to mash bumpers a little bit. So the 91, a wild card. And this Dan Rowe, who's already moved a car out of the way earlier on in the evening, going to have an opportunity as well. Right now, pace car peels off. It's going to be 15 laps to go. Justin Wilson almost gets an early start. Jacob Bradley's going to be able to take advantage of that. He's going to get the whole shot. Aaron Smith to third place. Rye Jones still in fourth. Will Jones hang the outside on Aaron Smith? He does. Right now, single file top two. Aaron Smith, Rye Jones do battle back in the third position. Rye Jones not letting Smith go, Chris, looking further back in the field. Everyone still maintaining green flag racing here, running clean lines. Most cars are single file. Couple of double file battles going on right now, but up front with just 14 now to go, it's all Jacob Bradley. I know we've got Steve Bradley watching the chat. Connor Lyons said his money's on the 50 truck as well, and right now that 50 truck has about a 4 or 5 car length lead on the 58 of Justin Wilson. They crossed the line. 13 laps to go here from Bristol from Slingshot Racing League. We're still green. Aaron Smith, who's been one of the faster trucks all night, looking like he's really one of the only 2 cars that has anything for Jacob Bradley. Right now, back to 4th place. He's struggling, Chris. He's got Johnny Rapp looking high, or low, now high on him. Aaron Smith shifts back to the bottom. We got 10 laps left. Does saving tires matter at this point?
Not at all. You got to let it all hang out and don't hold anything back at this point. This is when you show everybody what you got.
Show everyone what you got. We are getting down to it. Just about 10 to go. That lap, that margin has increased from Jacob Bradley from 4 car lengths now back to about 8 car lengths to the next car. Justin Wilson in second place. Top 9 or 10 are single file. They are nose to tail. Randy Bechdel looking to make up spots on the inside. He's in the 12th, now 13th position. He's running inside, Chris. Everyone shifted up to the top of the track. They're looking to get the most speed out of this as they can.
Yep. I'm not surprised at all to see all these drivers up near the top. We've been talking about it all night. That is the faster way around, but it will chew up the tires, and they are all running up there right now.
Ryan Hinkle and Sean Johnson. I thought we were about to have another caution with just 9 laps left. We are close. Both of those drivers showed a little bit of discretion, though, and kept us under green flag conditions here. Just 8 laps left. Jacob Bradley still leads by about 6 to 7 car lengths. Aaron Smith, Chris, is really struggling backing up that outside line. Johnny Rapp moves down to the inside to take over the 4th position.
Oh, he's loose.
Loose off the corner, doing everything he can to hang on to that number 70 HTP truck, Chris. I'm a little surprised to see the tires worn off of that 70 truck so early. I guess it's really late in the race, but still.
Yeah, it seems like the right rear's gone on that truck, or he has really overheated it for the past couple laps. And, you don't want to take it easy now, but if you don't take it easy for a couple laps, you run the risk of spinning out. And Smith has slid all the way back to 7th.
All the way back to 7th. I don't know if he's done sliding. Scottie Sobczak looks like he wants a piece of him. Wesley Pistol and Patrick Colby laying in wait back there. Chris, one thing I'm noticing right now, though, looking at the times, that time by Justin Wilson and Jacob Bradley were almost identical, but that gap has shrunk just a little bit from about 8 car lengths. It's now back to about 5 to 4 car lengths. Justin Wilson gaining just a little bit, but he's only got 3 laps left if he's going to pull it off. Both of those drivers hanging tight on the outside, opting for that outer line through the corners down the backstretch, coming to 2 to go. Justin Wilson continues to look like he's closing the gap just a little bit. It's down to about 4 car lengths. Wilson's got 2 laps if he's got anything to give to try to get by Jacob Bradley. Now a lap and a half away from the conclusion here at Bristol. If they take the white flag, we are seeing a green flag finish here. They do.
They do.
White flag is out. Jacob Bradley through the corner of that number 50. Down the backstretch, it's his race to lose at this point. Jacob Bradley in that Jacob Bradley driving school car puts on a masterclass tonight at Bristol. He is the teacher. Everyone else was the student. Wilson second. Rye Jones gets by Rapp for 3rd position, Chris. And I think we're going to see some tempers flaring after this race. I already felt like I saw some smoke, but that might have been out of the ears of some of the drivers.
Yeah, Bristol will bring out the best in drivers, and it will bring out the worst in drivers, and it brought out the best in Jacob Bradley tonight. He was pretty dominant from green flag to checkered flag, as we got some double burnouts going on right here, it looks like, and Johnny Rapp's going to join in the fun as well.
Yeah, that is a Payday Racing, Chris, top 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 for Payday Racing drivers, with Bradley, Wilson, Jones, and Rapp celebrating that team victory on the front straightaway. Everyone in the chat, we're going to bring you live interviews from the top 3 to hear how it all shakes down and what their races looked like. If you haven't subscribed, if you haven't liked the video, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up. Doesn't cost you a dime. We're going to keep on asking, don't worry. But while you do that, it's going to give us an opportunity to bring the top 3 finishers into the booth. All right, so we're going to try to get Rye Jones in the broadcast booth. We'll hear from him in just a moment. Rye Jones, this is Ellison Chris up in the Slingshot booth. You got a copy, my friend.
Hey, guys.
Man, third place finish tonight. You had an evening of ups and downs, thrills and spills, I think would be an apt way to describe not only the race for you, but the rest of the field. I know a frustrating night, probably in the driver's seat. Also, probably fans at home saw more cautions than they would like. Talk us through kind of what you observed as being the biggest difficulty tonight from that driver's seat from your perspective.
Yeah, I'm tired. I've gotten like 4 hours of sleep in the last like 36 or something like that from, travel and stuff, and just didn't sleep well last night. But was still able to, make it to the race tonight. And, because I was gone, I didn't have any practice in me. So definitely these things run a lot different than the Xfinity car that we ran last season. But, it was really... it was really difficult to pass after about, 10, 15 laps when we could get to it. But when you did get to it, you can really prevail on that high line. It just kind of eats up your tires a little more, especially your right rear. And when we came down there to, I got in that incident with Jamie Leach, and I just miscorrected, and I thought I was pretty much clear, and he was still there and got loose. And I'm surprised I didn't really hit anything. Got lucky there. And luckily, with the amount of cautions, tire strategy didn't really play any factors. So it was tough. It was tough to make my way back up through the field, especially with just all the beating and banging. But I got lucky a couple times, avoiding some incidences. And once I got into the top 10, I knew I had a fighting chance to get up here in the top 3. And when we came, for those last set of tires, I said, all right, well, it's go time now, and I know there's going to be no more cautions, so I just was lucky I got a high line restart, and I was able to work the high line really well on restarts. Some people struggled with it. I know some of my teammates said they couldn't really pass on it, but for some reason it was working for me, so I just utilized the high line to pass some people, and we kept getting kind of cautions, all right, making my way forward, and that last restart, we just timed it perfectly to where I could get around Aaron. And then, for us to finish 1, 2, 3, 4 is pretty awesome for payday.
Yeah, that was a good result for Payday Racing. Good result for you with that third place finish, man. Congratulations on that. We're going to let you go celebrate, but you got any shout outs before you go open up that fresh can of Budweiser?
Oh, man, I got to thank you guys for always putting on a good show. I really love watching the replays. Everybody that tunes in, and I got to thank these, all the sponsors for us, and the Payday guys. We always seem to do a pretty good job at tracks like this, and it's really nice when we can prevail with some good finishes.
Yeah, man, we appreciate you, and put on a good show tonight. Go celebrate that third place finish with your teammates. Rye Jones, third place finisher in the 91 truck tonight.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, so you heard from Rye Jones. We're going to bring in Justin Wilson, our second place runner-up tonight, into the broadcast booth. Justin Wilson, it's Ellis and Chris up in the Slingshot broadcast booth. You got a copy, my friend?
Yeah, I got you, boss.
Hey, man, driver of the number 58 truck. You look tough all night long. This is kind of, I feel like, the strongest race we've seen you have all season. It's been a bit of a struggle early on. Now race 7, starting to feel like you're coming into championship form. You got the playoffs coming up in about 3 races. Talk to us tonight. We talked to Rye Jones, your teammate. First of all, great night for Payday Racing. But that truck, it was a handful at points tonight. He said that he really liked the outside line and could make some moves up there, but you struggled a little bit up there.
Yeah, no, it's just because I didn't practice it at all. I had been running the bottom the whole run, just saving tire. But this race kind of took tire strategy out the window with the timely yellows, and you're able to cool your tires off and just go balls out again. So I started to figure it out there at the end, but at the end of the day, I was just playing defense for Jacob just so we can kind of try to get a 1-2 finish. And it worked out because Ryan and Johnny were able to get up there too. So it actually worked out for us. I was comfortable with second place, and I was riding.
Yeah, man, it was a good night. Talk to us a little bit about you had I felt like you had a fairly tame night. We didn't see you in a lot of action. I know that was probably preferable to you. First of all, were there any close calls for you out there?
No, we were pretty good. The only really time I was in traffic was when we pitted, and we had to kind of force our way through a little bit. But aside from that, no, it was a good race. I mean, between me, Aaron, it was mostly just me and Aaron. I think we were side by side for most of the race. It was a good, close, tight race, and it was a lot of fun.
Man, what are you going to have to do? Just 3 laps left in the regular, 3 races, I should say, left in the regular season. I know this hasn't felt initially like a championship season for you, but do you feel like the playoffs gives you a bit of an opportunity to jump in there and get back in the hunt the final 5 races?
Oh, I hope so. I struggle with these trucks. There's just something about them. I struggle with them. I'd be lying if I say I'm optimistic about the rest of these races, but we're going to go into them trying to win just like we do every week, and really just see how it plays out.
Well, man, we'll be looking forward to seeing it. We'll go ahead and let you go celebrate that second place finish, but do you have any shout outs before we send you that way?
Man, got to give you guys a shout out for the race. I always like watching the streams, and I hope everybody else watching does too. This tonight was a bit of a struggle with all the yellows, but
hey, we had plenty of action and replays to show.
Oh, I bet. And then, thank Aaron for the good, clean racing and the whole payday team, man. We had a phenomenal finish with all of us being up front. So, yeah, man, I'm looking forward to next week.
You did a good job. Next week we'll be heading into Indy. Good track for you?
Oh yeah, I always do well at Indy, but I don't know about in the truck. But we'll see.
I was gonna say, don't jinx it yet.
Yeah.
All right, driver number 58, Justin Wilson. Congrats on that runner-up finish tonight. We'll let you go celebrate with the team.
All right, man.
All right, and that means there's one left. It's your winner, Jacob Bradley. We're going to bring him into the broadcast booth. Driver number 50, Jacob Bradley. It's Ellis and Chris in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Hey, man, congratulations on that win. Finally happened. It's been a good season for you so far, but I know you're looking to get that one late in the, halfway through the season under the belt. Man, you were the car to beat tonight from the get-go. After starting on the pole, you just I don't have a lap lead count on you, but I would imagine you've led the most laps over the course of the race. I know cautions probably played a factor in that. It was a tough drive out there. Were there any close calls for you just to start things off? I know we had several close calls for a lot of drivers. Did you get close to anything? I know that very first caution that came out, I think I held my breath for you coming around it.
Yeah, there was definitely a couple where the caution was called, my spot would tell me there was a car stopped up high, and then I come around 2 and they're down low, and there was a little bit of a panic. But overall, it was pretty smooth sailing up front. It was a pretty loose setup, so I kind of expected a lot of cautions going into it. All the drivers up front showed respect, and ultimately it worked out in the end. I'm kind of glad to get this Bristol win off my shoulders. I've led a lot of laps here, and finally was able to get one done.
Yeah, man, you did a good job. I know it's got to be a monkey off your back to close that deal here with this win at Bristol. Just talking about points-wise, I know it hasn't quite been the season that you're looking for, certainly not parallel with that Apex Energy Series that you won in the Xfinity car last season. I was asking the same question to your teammate, Justin Wilson. But do you feel like the playoffs coming up in 3 races gives you an opportunity to kind of get back into that peak championship form and really make a solid run at it after maybe not quite the start of the season you would like?
It definitely does with the reset. We're going to gain a lot of points on the top guys there, especially with now a win. We really didn't have a good start to the season. Pocono, I thought, could have been a win if the power didn't go out. Homestead, I think, could have been a win if the strategy worked out. But ultimately, we just got to play it out how it gives us, and we finally got a win, so that's a couple more bonus points, so that'll definitely help in those championship efforts.
Yeah, man, congratulations. Next week, we're headed into Indy. Good track or bad track for you?
It's technically my home track. It's not my favorite though. I'd much rather prefer IRP. I prefer Gateway for my time living there, but I think I could be a top 5 car there.
All right, man. We'll be looking out for that. We're going to hold you to it. Driver the number 50 winner tonight, Jacob Bradley. Congrats, man. We're going to let you go celebrate that payday 1 through 4 finish.
Thank you.
All right, so Jacob Bradley, winner of the Hank Thomas Performance 200 here at Bristol. Race number 7 on the Slingshot Racing League Apex Energy Truck Series season. And man, what a thriller it was tonight at Bristol, Chris. We probably had more cautions than any of the driver in the field or our race controller, Sam Maxwell, who had to officiate some of those, would have preferred. But man, we came out on the other end of it with a first-time winner this season. In Jacob Bradley and a payday 1 through 4 finish, and probably some tempers that are going to be flaring up after the race. I know, fortunately I've been in the Discord. I have a lot of John back and forth. Hopefully everyone's taken our advice and dealt with those issues and conversations privately, as we expect all our drivers to.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think that, sometimes Bristol, like we said before, can bring out the worst in people, but I think a lot of people recognize tonight that, man, the conditions, this truck, this setup, this track, it was just difficult tonight, and I think everybody's going to show a bit of grace for everybody.
Yeah, and it was a tough track, tough setup. As our top 3 mentioned, it was a loose setup as the race went on. So we saw kind of the results of that. A lot of that, those worn tires ended up in loose race cars, which led to the downfall of several drivers tonight, Chris. And next week, we are headed into Indy for race 8. Just 3 laps, or second time I've done that. 3 races left in the regular season before we hit our playoffs. I know it's going to be a shift because we're going from a very short track to one of the longest tracks on the NASCAR schedule at the full Indy course. What can we expect as we head into that big racetrack?
Well, Indy's got some really technical, it's got four corners, all of them very technical, very flat track. But with these trucks there, man, the trucks punch such a big hole in the air. They create a huge draft effect that I think that you'll see a lot of close racing. You might even see some, I don't think you'll see like pack racing like you do Daytona, Talladega, obviously. Or even like maybe what you see at like Michigan or, Atlanta, Fontana. I don't think you'll see anything like that, but I think you'll see packs here and there of guys kind of running close together. And, it's a big aero track, so track position is super, super important. Very difficult to pass, but it's an iconic track, and I'm looking forward to seeing these trucks out there.
It is going to be something to watch. Obviously, if you're a fan, if you're a subscriber, or if you're not a subscriber, you can still subscribe, don't worry. But you can tune into that race next week, next Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Catch race number 8 of the Apex Energy Truck Series season. Chris, one driver I'm looking at as a favorite for next week, Scottie Sobczak, man. He has mastered that track. He's put on a whale of a show in the past in the trucks for Slingshot Racing League. He's sitting second in points right now and might change a little bit after tonight with an 8th place finish. But I think we might come out next week with a new championship favorite, or at least a new driver that's really heavily in the conversation for that. So we are just getting cranked up. 3 races left in the regular season. Look forward to Indy next week. Folks, we appreciate you for tuning in. Everyone who dropped us a line in the chat tonight. Don, Steve Bradley, Connor, obviously. Everyone else, I believe Brendan Garvey was in here. Just so many folks stopped in the chat. We enjoy talking to y'all and answering your questions. Can't wait till next week at Indy, everybody. Have a wonderful week, and until next time, catch you later.